But first, before we get into the video, if you're liking the content, do me a favor, like up the video so we can get this out to more people, and subscribe to the channel so you can continue to help the community go. Let's get right into it.
Oh, I see you're turning on after I shocked you by telling you that prayer is neither heard nor answered by a God in the sky. I want to give you a new definition for prayer, some of you. Prayer is a positive mental transaction within your own mind. Prayer is a positive mental transaction within your own mind. And so as such, prayer is not even a religious exercise. Prayer is what you say to yourself within yourself.
A lot of people think they're going outside of the body. It's within.
And to put it in the first person again, because I want you to be able to use this message. Prayer is what I say about myself within myself.
In myself.
And I want to go back to the text that we read a few moments ago concerning the episode of the woman with the issue of blood in the Gospels. In the Gospels, there is this lady who had an issue of blood for 12 years and who had tried all kinds of remedies and good physicians, but nothing helped her. And finally, Jesus came to town to conduct a meeting. She had heard about him, how many people had been blessed and helped and healed through the ministry of Jesus. And the words of the scripture which I just read tell us that she said within herself, "If I may but touch his clothes, I shall be made whole." And I want to point out something to you good Bible people that perhaps you've never noticed before. Notice where this woman's prayer was said. Notice where this woman's prayer took place. This woman did not address her prayer to a God in the sky. But the scripture says what? She said within herself.
I don't know if they're ready for him at this time. Yeah.
"If I may but touch his clothes, I shall be made whole." And so I want to suggest to you a new way of prayer. When you pray,
I like the way he said, I may suggest. He didn't make a demand. He just offered a suggestion.
you are really talking to yourself. You are talking to your own mind. You are convincing yourself of the good which you desire.
Talking to the God within you.
And here again, you know, when you pray, you have no one to convince but yourself. So many people waste a lot of time with this so-called religious praying by trying to convince a God in the sky to do something for them or to give them something. But here again, and I have to hold the guideline on the scriptures because we're going into the Bible Belt.
Got to be careful.
This woman's prayer took place within herself. She said within herself, "If I may but touch his clothes, I shall be made whole." That was a mental transaction which she made within her own mind. To go into a bit of mind science and science of living for a moment, her conscious mind impressed the idea of healing, the idea of wholeness, the idea of restored health upon her subconscious mind. And this is the mental transaction. These are the mental mechanics which take place when you pray. The conscious mind conveys an idea to the subconscious mind. With her conscious mind, she selected the idea of wholeness, the idea of health, the idea of healing, and declared it and affirmed it. And the subconscious mind accepted that idea of healing and of wholeness.
To imprint on the subconscious mind, you have to do it habitually. You have to believe fully in what you're saying to yourself in the conscious state. That, I would say, is probably the hardest thing, is because we don't fully understand the subconscious mind. But it is more of a, once we, subconsciously, we know certain things that we don't have to guess. But if you can change the belief and imprint on the subconscious mind, then anything you're going after is essentially achievable.
This is why here in these services, we're always affirming.
Always affirming habitually, over and over and over and over again. It has to be a practice, and then eventually it gets to the state, or it gets to the point where it's so powerful, and the belief takes hold. But in the beginning, it seems kind of repetitive, but you have to repeat over and over so that you essentially attain the skill.
Point of being redundant. I want you to
Redundant,
know that
absolutely.
I am purposely redundant in my messages and in my classes. Oh, of course, I studied theology, homiletics, and hermeneutics. But I found that people don't need that. People need something that they can use. People need the truth presented to them in such a way that it will set them free.
We're also living in a time these days where essentially we have to get into this space. We're also living in a time these days where we have to change our beliefs in terms of, and it's not about moving away from religion or moving away from a quote unquote creation or idea about God. Rather, it's more so creating a new foundation in how we see ourselves, so that we can start obtaining and going after the things that we desire. You see, there's so many things going on in the world today that's, in my opinion, obvious that we don't have a level of self-belief. Our self-worth is low, and we put so much value in the external things outside of ourselves. And once we start to go inner and we start to pull out the positivity, we start pulling out, I call it, essentially the God in you, the G in you, the energy, whatever you want to call it, energy, the energy. So any of that stuff that you, however you want to call it, when you start pulling that stuff out of you, you start tapping into something that's quote unquote supernatural. But a lot of this stuff first starts there. So do me a favor, if you enjoyed the video, it's always a pleasure to bring Reverend Ike back onto the channel. I think some of his teachings, again, were way before his time, and a large population of people, I do believe, accepted his teachings, but then there was a large group who essentially shunned him away. And to this day, they still do. I had some pretty nasty comments about my last video, but I had more positive comments. So obviously the people want more of that type of teaching. So if you like this video, please like it up, share it, subscribe to the channel, and put on that bell notification so you can know when we post. Peace.
Hot in the summer, yeah. Hot in the summer.